I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking with author Neale Payne. He is the man behind a sensational book called Willie Wish and the Magic Realm. He's taking readers on a captivating journey into a world filled with magic and fairies. Through the eyes of the protagonist, Willie, readers are introduced to the concept of every aspect of our world having a fairy guardian. With a life-altering gift in his possession, Willie embarks on a series of adventures, aiding and supporting the magical creatures he encounters. We're delighted to have Neale join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel. Neale, thanks so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Good to be here. Thank you.
What would a world be without fairies and magic and things we don't understand? Don't you think that's kind of like the wonder of childhood, the wonder of life?
Well, it is. Children have an amazing imagination. We've just got to tap into it.
Absolutely.
By reading them fairy stories, it makes them intelligent. It gets them involved. It makes them use their minds. By watching it on television, they don't have to use their imagination because it's all in a picture in front of them.
Exactly.
And without imagination, the world would go nowhere.
And you obviously never lost your imagination or that childlike part of you, which is a great thing.
No, I never did. I'm still a child at heart. Yeah,
That's
even though
wonderful.
I'm 65. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about writing this book. Has this been in your mind for a while? Have you been writing it over the years in your brain and finally put it on paper? Or how did it work?
I was never very good at English, and it was one thing that I would say that I never even thought of was to write a book until a lady, when I was in my late 50s, asked me to write a little story about an old friend of mine. Which I did. He was a real character of a place where I was working. Once I'd written, it was only about a foolscap page, but once I'd written it, she said that I wrote very, very well, and I should think about writing a book. Well, my grandchildren started to come along, and the idea just kept going around and around in my head. And I have thousands of stories in my brain because, as you said, I've never really grown up, and and my imagination takes me everywhere. So it was quite easy to put some stories from how I grew up, the bush and everything. I grew up in the bush, so it was quite easy to relate back to where I was running and playing and swimming. And so I wrote it for my grandchildren just to show them how the world was 50 years ago or 60 years ago, not the place that it is today.
When I was a kid, I'd sit on the lawn with my dad and he'd tell me about fairies dancing in the grass and about purple people eater flowers that would come alive. And, he really captured my imagination and really, impressed me with his stories. It sounds like you're the same kind of storyteller, that you can really take what would be ordinary and see the magic in it.
I have a tendency to always look on the bright side of life.
That's great.
There's good in everything. I don't dwell on the bad at all.
Yeah.
Which has helped me all the way through.
Absolutely. Have you envisioned this book as a movie? I know kids use their imagination more when they're reading it than when they're watching it, but we got a lot of lazy kids out there who want to watch it instead sometimes.
Yeah, we certainly do. It'd be great to go as a movie or a comic series. Who knows? I'll keep my hopes high. It's up to the people that buy the book whether they like it enough, and publishers and all the other people associated with it. But yeah, I'll just keep writing. I enjoy it. My kids enjoy it. So,
are there going to be more adventures for Willie?
There's a sequel coming out. There was enough little trailers and little bits that he needed to do from the first book. Like he doesn't know how to use his wand, so he has to go to wand school. That's in the next story. So there's a whole bunch of new characters coming along.
Wonderful.
Which helps in the game, yeah. And we'll keep chasing that little thing called the dragon somewhere along the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Tell me about writing this book. How long did it take you? I know it was encouraged by a friend in part to write about it. Tell me about the writing process.
Um, I had a lot of time on my hand because I was in a job where nobody turned up. So I'd sit in the office all day twiddling my thumbs. So it took me about 6 months to write it. It came out very, very quickly. The draft was out in about a week.
Hmm.
And then it was just me sitting around learning how to expand on it and got people to read it. My sister got involved. Yeah, lots of people read it and kept giving me good feedbacks, and I just kept pursuing it. But yeah, about 6 months.
Wonderful. Wonderful. What do you hope readers take away from this book? And who's your audience? Are you writing it for kids? Are you writing it for adults? It looks like both would enjoy it.
I think it can start out as an adult book, but it's basically for children. But an adult can start to read it to the children. What would I like to see out of it? Children get off their PlayStations, use their imagination, show a bit of respect, learn about the environment and how we're destroying it, how to get on with different people. You know, everybody's different, you know, and you've got to have an acceptance of the differences in these people. The way that I see it, kids these days play war games on machines, on their tablets and on their phones, and it keeps them amused by all means. But then they go out and play rape, or they role play these models, and you've got to look around. The amount of people that are getting shot and the violence in this world is absolutely crazy. I
Yeah.
think if you wanted a better world, is to train our children. They're the ones that are going to take it over from us. And if all they can see is violence, that's all we're heading for. If they can use their imagination and can see that respect and consideration and not to have greed and share, I think the world will be a much better place.
Absolutely. If more kids spend time thinking about magic and about fairies and about doing good and about helping people rather than blowing up, destroying, shooting, I think we'd all be in a much better place. I think the world would be a better place.
I think so, but we're handing this world to these people that are playing these violent games. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a worry.
Yep. Tell me a little bit about Willie and his character, and after he gets his gift to become a helper to the magic realm, how his life changes.
Um, he actually sees his father with a fairy. His father has the gift, but he never knew this. He
Mhm.
watches his father go into the bush every now and again and come back out with a broken stick and stuff. And it didn't make much sense until he followed him into the bush one night and saw him talking and interacting with a fairy on his hand. Um, Willie gets this gift because he's got all of the traits of a fairy. He's good of heart. He has respect. He
Mhm.
speaks kindly. He can has a sense about the animals, so much the same as his father. So, with the help of his father trains him on how to repair things. Now, it could be repairing of a wand. You know, fairies do break their wands; they fall over. It could be um, a bird, a hanging dicky bird. Its nest has fallen out of a tree, so he conceded the fact that he needs to put the nest back into the tree. But to, to solve the problem, he that's the point. He has to use his brain to solve the problem to get the nest back up there. And it only took a shoelace because it's a hanging dicky bird. Um, they things that people don't really realise. Our wild pigs up here in the north of Queensland are digging up our turtle nests and destroying our turtle population.
Mhm.
Um, and people just don't even see this or don't even hear it. So if you can bring it into the mind's eye of a small child that these things should be protected, hopefully it'll pass on down their lives.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, hopefully,
Yeah. You impact a child's mind, you impact the world. Very, very
yes.
true. The name of the book is Willie Wish and the Magic Realm. It is written by Neale Payne. It is a captivating read. It takes readers on a journey into a world filled with magic and fairies. And we get to see life through the eyes of Willie, the protagonist. And readers are introduced to the concept that every aspect of our world has a fairy guardian. That'd be a nice world to live in indeed. Neale, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.